quiet stretch of wet sand, something is waiting. From above, it looks like nothing more than a dark ribbon buried in the mud. But the moment something brushes against it, its mouth turns inside out in a fraction of a second, and a set of gleaming jaws shoots forward. This is a bloodworm. Its teeth contain copper. Its jaws can launch outward faster than you can blink, and if you pick one up without care, it may bite you. But the strangest part of this story isn't that a worm has metal in its mouth. It's why those teeth are built that way at all. Over the next few minutes, you'll find out how these jaws work, what these worms actually eat, whether their bite is something to fear, and why marine scientists study their teeth as if they were tiny pieces of engineering. And the secret hidden inside that mouth may be more advanced than anything you'd expect from a creature living in the mud. Bloodworms live along muddy shorelines, tidal flats, and shallow coastal waters, in places where the sediment stays soft, dark, and constantly wet. The name bloodworm is actually used for more than one kind of marine worm, but the one at the center of this story is a bristleworm in the genus Glycera, sometimes called the bloodworm because of its deep reddish color, which comes from the oxygen-carrying fluid inside its body. Its body is long and segmented, lined with small bristle-like structures called parapodia that help it grip the sediment and push forward through mud that would trap almost anything else. The coloration can range from a deep red to a darker brownish tone, and the body itself is soft, flexible, and built for burrowing rather than for speed. For most of its life, this animal looks completely unremarkable, a simple worm buried in mud, giving no hint of what it's capable of. There's no visible head, no obvious weapon, nothing that separates it from the countless harmless creatures also living in the same sediment. From above, the mud looks lifeless. But beneath its surface, something is moving, patient, hidden, and armed. For most of the day, the bloodworm's most dangerous feature stays completely out of sight. Its jaws are folded inward, tucked into a long muscular tube inside its head. There's no visible mouth, no obvious weapon, nothing that would make you think twice about picking one up. Then, in an instant, everything changes. When the worm senses prey or feels threatened, it forces fluid through that internal tube, and the whole structure flips outward, like a sleeve turning inside out. Within milliseconds, 4 dark curved jaws appear from what looked like an ordinary blunt head. It's not a mouth opening, it's an entire proboscis being turned inside out and thrust into the world. This eversion happens so quickly that in real time, it can look like the jaws simply appear from nowhere. But these jaws aren't remarkable only because they move so fast. Their material contains something you almost never see in the animal kingdom. Here's where the story turns into something scientists have spent real research time trying to understand. The jaws of the bloodworm are reinforced with copper. Not pure metal copper like a coin or a wire, but copper bound into the biological material of the jaw itself, alongside a protein-based scaffold and a mineral related to atacamite, a copper-containing compound. This copper-protein combination is what gives the tips of the jaws their unusual hardness and their dark color. Very few animals on Earth build copper into their bodies this way. Most hard biological structures, like bone, shell, or insect mandibles, rely on calcium, chitin, or silica. The bloodworm instead incorporates a metal typically associated with wiring and industrial tools into some of the smallest jaws in the ocean. This worm does not mine copper. It builds the metal into a working tool, small enough to fit inside a creature you could hold between 2 fingers. Researchers studying these jaws have found that the copper-based structure helps the tips resist wear, even though the worm uses them again and again to puncture and grip. That raises a real question. How does such a small, soft-bodied animal manufacture a material hard enough to survive repeated strikes without any of the heat or pressure that human industry usually requires to work with metal? So what is all of this jaw power actually for? Diet among bloodworms isn't a single simple story, because behavior can vary between species and even between individuals. Broadly, these worms are active predators and scavengers, feeding on small invertebrates, other worms, and organic material they find in the sediment. Some individuals are more predatory, actively seizing prey that comes too close, while others rely more heavily on scavenging whatever organic matter is available in the mud. Picture a small crustacean or another worm moving across a sediment, unaware that the ground beneath it is alive. The bloodworm senses the vibration or contact, and its hidden jaws evert in an instant, gripping the prey and pulling it toward the buried body. Those copper-hardened tips aren't just for show. They're a functional tool built for exactly this moment, piercing and holding on to prey that would otherwise slip away in soft mud. Now to the question the title promises. Do bloodworms actually bite people? Yes, they can, particularly when they're handled directly, since the same jaws used for feeding and defense will respond to what the worm interprets as a threat. People who dig for bloodworms, or who handle them as fishing bait, are the ones most likely to come into contact with a defensive bite. A bite can cause a sharp pinch, localized pain, and irritation at the site, and reactions can vary depending on the person and the individual worm. This is not a creature that hunts humans, and it is not considered a dangerous predator to people. It is a small marine animal defending itself the only way it knows how. If you ever handle marine worms like these, it's worth taking a few simple precautions. Avoid touching unfamiliar marine animals with bare hands. Don't provoke or squeeze them, and if you are bitten, wash the area properly. If you notice unusual swelling, difficulty breathing, or signs of a more serious allergic reaction, seek medical advice. For nearly everyone, though, a bloodworm bite is a brief, sharp inconvenience, not a medical emergency. But the bite itself is only part of the story. The real mystery is why these tiny jaws are so difficult to reproduce artificially. This is where bloodworms stop being just a strange curiosity and become something material scientists actually study. Human engineers typically rely on heat, pressure, and complex machinery to shape and harden metals. The bloodworm builds a metal-reinforced tool at room temperature, underwater, using nothing but its own biology. That combination of hardness, flexibility, and self-assembly is exactly the kind of natural design that researchers hope to learn from when developing new bio-inspired materials. No one is promising that studying bloodworm jaws will lead to a specific new invention tomorrow, but understanding how a soft-bodied animal incorporates metal into a durable, self-repairing structure gives scientists new ideas about how strong materials might be built more efficiently and with far less energy than traditional manufacturing methods require. It's a reminder that some of the most advanced material science on the planet isn't happening in a lab at all. It's happening quietly, inside a worm, buried in a few inches of ordinary mud. It's easy, after everything you've just learned, to think of the bloodworm as something unsettling, a hidden creature with metal teeth lurking under your feet at the beach. But step back for a moment. Bloodworms are part of a much larger hidden ecosystem living beneath sand and mud, quietly cycling nutrients and supporting the food webs that shorelines depend on. To us, the bloodworm may look like a creature from a nightmare, but beneath the ocean floor, it is simply built for survival, shaped by millions of years of evolution to solve a very specific problem: catching and holding on to prey in an environment where nothing stays still for long. So here's what we've uncovered today. Bloodworms live hidden beneath marine sediment, completely undetectable until they strike. Their jaws stay folded inside their bodies and can evert in a fraction of a second. Those jaws are reinforced with copper-based biological material, among the hardest tissues known in the animal kingdom. That structure helps them grip prey and defend themselves, and yes, on occasion, deliver a memorable pinch to a careless hand. And now, that same tiny jaw is inspiring real scientific research into stronger, more efficient materials. Beneath the mud, where sunlight never reaches, a small worm carries a hidden weapon, one shaped by evolution and reinforced with copper. Sometimes the strangest animals aren't hiding in the deepest parts of the ocean. They're hiding just beneath the surface, closer than you think. If you enjoyed discovering the hidden world beneath the ocean floor, subscribe for more strange animals, deadly predators, bizarre insects, and wildlife mysteries. What creature should we investigate next?